The sky was quiet until the fire came. Above the forest, a silver streak ripped across the stars. A ship, small, fast, and broken, tumbled through the clouds. Flames licked its sides. The engines cried out in a strange alien pitch. It crashed, deep into the trees, tearing them apart like paper. The ground shook for miles. Birds flew in every direction. A cloud of smoke rose from the forest like a dark tower. Taryn stood on a hill near the old supply station. He saw the smoke and grabbed his bag without a word. He had lived out here for months, fixing what was left of human outposts on this quiet planet. Most people thought the war had never touched this place. But now something had fallen from the sky, and it wasn't human. He reached the crash site within the hour. The fire was dying, but the wreck was still hot. Metal bent in strange ways. Pieces of the ship were scattered across the trees. The symbol on the side wasn't familiar. Curved lines, a sharp mark in the center. Not Earth tech. Not human. Taryn stepped closer, his boots crunching on the broken forest floor. He moved carefully, watching for fuel leaks or sparks. Then he heard it. A soft sound. A breath. Someone was still alive. He moved to the side of the ship and pulled away a piece of the hatch. Behind it, a shape stirred. A figure crawled forward slowly, her hand trembling as she dragged herself out of the wreckage. Her skin was pale gold, not human. Her hair was tangled with blood and ash. She wore armor, but it was cracked and burned. She looked up at him with tired eyes. She was young and beautiful, even through the smoke and blood. There was something calm and strong about her face, like she had seen too much but still held on. She raised a small blade, but it shook in her hand. Taryn didn't move. He raised both hands slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said in a calm voice. The alien girl blinked once, then her hand dropped. She fell forward into the dirt. Taryn caught her before she hit the ground. She was burning with fever, her breathing shallow. He picked her up and started back toward the station. She was light, like she hadn't eaten in days. Her armor clicked against his gear as he walked. By the time he reached the station, the sun was setting. The building was old, a forgotten place built during the early days of human travel. He kicked the door open with his foot and laid her on a metal table inside. The lights flickered to life. He pulled out his med kit and started working. Her wounds were bad. A deep cut across her side, burn marks on her leg. Her arm was broken. Still, she didn't make a sound. Her eyes fluttered open once, and she looked at him again with the same tired calm. "You're going to be all right," Taryn said, not sure if she could understand. She didn't speak. Her eyes closed again. Taryn worked through the night. He cleaned. Her wounds, wrapped her leg, and set the arm with care. Her armor had strange tech built into it, small glowing threads, a soft hum of energy. But it was mostly ruined. He placed it to the side and covered her with a blanket. The forest outside was silent. No more ships came, no voices, no noise, just the wind through broken trees. In the morning, Taryn sat at the table across from her. She was still sleeping, but her breathing had steadied. He ate from a ration pack and watched her, waiting for a sign. Part of him wanted to send a signal, contact someone, report the crash. But he didn't. Something about this girl made him pause. She wasn't just lost, she was running. She woke near sunset. Her eyes opened slowly, scanning the room, then finding him. "You're awake," Taryn said. She tried to sit up, then winced and fell back. Her voice came out low and broken. "Where am I?" "Old station," Taryn said. "North end of Sector 9. Quiet place. No one else around for miles." She looked at him carefully, like she was trying to decide what he was. "I'm not your enemy," he added. "I don't know that yet," she replied, but her voice was weak. Taryn smiled a little. Well, you're not dead, and I figure that gives me a good start. She tried not to smile, but a little curve appeared on her lips. It faded fast. She looked away. My name is Kaylee, she said after a pause. Kaylee, Taryn repeated. I'm Taryn. She nodded slowly. Her hand moved to her side. She winced. You crashed hard, Taryn said. You're lucky I found you. No, she whispered. I'm not lucky. They think I'm dead. That's the only reason I'm still breathing. Who? Kaylee didn't answer. She stared at the ceiling. I need to rest, she said. Taryn didn't push. He gave her. Water helped her adjust the blanket, then left her alone. He sat by the window that night, watching the stars through the dusty glass. Somewhere up there, someone wanted her gone. And now she was here, in his care. He didn't know what she had done or why, but she wasn't a monster. She wasn't a soldier. Not right now. She was just someone who fell from the sky and needed help, and for now, that was enough. The storm came the next day. Strong winds shook the walls of the old station. Rain poured across the roof like drums beating in the dark. Inside, Kaylee lay on the bed, her eyes open, staring at the ceiling. She had not spoken much since the night before. Taryn moved around the room, checking wires, watching the power levels. The station had no strong defense, but it still had working shields and heat. It had kept him safe for a long time, and now it kept her alive, too. Kaylee sat up slowly, pressing her hand against her side. The pain was there, but not sharp anymore. Taryn noticed and walked over. You should rest more, he said, placing a bowl of warm broth in front of her. Kaylee looked at the food, but did not reach for it right away. Where did you learn to heal like that? She asked. My mother was a medic, Taryn said. She taught me the basics before she left Earth. After that, I just practiced. Kaylee finally picked up the bowl. She drank slowly as if trying to remember the taste. It was a simple soup made from dry packs and water, but her face showed something close to peace. You don't ask many questions, she said, looking at him. I figure you'll talk when you're ready, Taryn replied. Kaylee nodded. Her eyes moved to the window. The rain blurred the trees outside. For a long time, she said nothing. Then her voice returned, low but steady. I was part of the Jarin royal fleet, she said. But I was never meant to lead. My brothers, they ruled the skies. I just wanted to bring peace. Taryn stayed quiet and listened. My people began a war, she continued. Not with humans. Not yet. It started between the royal houses. Old anger, old greed. I tried to stop it. I tried to speak against them. They called me a traitor, sent assassins. One of them shot my ship out of the sky, Taryn frowned. And you survived, he said. Only just, she answered. I don't know how far I flew before crashing here. The controls stopped working. I thought I would burn before I landed. Taryn sat across from her. His hands rested on the table. So you're a princess? He asked. Kaylee gave a tired laugh. Not anymore. A rebel now. A fugitive. They think I'm gone. And maybe I should be. Why? Because I failed, she whispered. I tried to change something too big. I thought words would be enough. I was wrong. Taryn shook his head. You're not dead. That means you still have a chance. Kaylee looked at him, surprised by his words. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she placed the bowl down and leaned back. Why are you here, human? She asked. Taryn looked around the old station. I came for parts, stayed for peace. The war's too loud out there. I don't like noise. Kaylee watched him for a while. Then she nodded, as if accepting the answer. The next few days passed slowly. Kaylee grew stronger. She began to walk with a limp, leaning on the wall or a metal pipe. Taryn adjusted her armor, cutting away the damaged pieces and adding wires from human tech. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Kaylee started helping him around the station. She cleaned wires, organized tools, and even repaired one of the old drones. It hovered above the table, blinking with a soft red light. "You're good with machines," Taryn said. Kaylee smiled. "Just a little. My mother taught me. She believed every princess should know how to fix what she commands." They laughed together for the first time. It was short, but it felt real. One night, they sat outside under a clear sky. The stars looked sharp and close, as if someone had dusted the black sky with silver. Kaylee pointed at a group of stars near the edge of the horizon. "That's the Veil," she said. "Zarin maps begin from there. My home was 2 jumps past that cluster." Taryn followed her finger, even though he didn't know the stars well. "Ever plan to go back?" he asked. Kaylee didn't answer right away. "If I go back, they'll try to kill me again," she said. "But if I don't, the wrong people will win. I can't let that happen." "Then don't," Taryn said. "Fight back. Make them listen." "You say it like it's easy," she replied. "It's not," he said. "But you're still here. That counts for something." Kaylee looked at him. Her eyes were softer now. She didn't seem like the same girl who had crawled out of the fire. "You don't know me," she said. "You could have left me in the forest." Taryn looked up at the stars. "I've seen enough people leave others behind. I didn't want to be one of them." Kaylee was quiet for a long time. Then she stood up, testing her leg. It held steady this time. "If I ask you to help me reach the rebel sector," she said, "would you?" Taryn stood too. "Depends on the plan. I need to send a signal. I know where the loyalists are. They'll come if I can reach them. But the signal will also alert the royal fleet. It's a risk." Taryn nodded. "Then we'll make it smart. We send the signal. We get ready for whoever comes." Kaylee held out her hand. "You'd fight beside me?" she asked. Taryn took her hand. "I already am." The wind moved through the trees again. The sky above them held the stars still. Something had changed between them, and both knew it. Not love, not yet, but trust, respect. A bond stronger than fear, and that was the beginning of something new. The forest felt different that morning. The air was still, too quiet, as if something far above was watching. Kaylee stood outside the station, staring at the sky. Her wounds had healed enough for her to walk without help. Her armor, though damaged, had been cleaned and rebuilt with Taryn's tools. The blade on her hip hummed faintly now, alive again. But she still looked up with worry in her eyes. Taryn stepped outside, holding a small scanner. He followed her gaze. "You sense something?" he asked. Kaylee nodded slowly. "They're searching. I can feel it. A patrol ship or a drone, maybe. Both. They won't stop until they're sure I'm dead." Taryn checked the scanner. The signal was clean, but that meant nothing. Zarin tech could hide from human tools. He had seen it before during the early days of the war. He looked at Kaylee. "We need to cloak the station. There's an old jammer in the south shed. Needs fixing, but it should work." "I'll help," Kaylee said at once. Together they made their way to the shed. The sky was bright blue, the kind that made the world look peaceful. But both of them knew better. Inside the shed, wires hung from the ceiling. Broken screens blinked slowly. The jammer sat in the corner, covered in dust and rust. Taryn opened the panel and started working. Kaylee sat beside him, handing him tools, checking wires, speaking soft words in her own language when things sparked. After an hour, the machine buzzed to life. A low hum filled the air. "That should hide us for now," Taryn said. "It'll block small scans, maybe confuse a patrol ship." Kaylee nodded. "It buys us time, but they'll come anyway. They always do." That evening, the clouds rolled in fast. But this time it wasn't a storm. It was shadow. A shape moved across the sky, long and silent. A Zarin patrol ship. Taryn saw it first from the tower. "We've got company," he called down. Kaylee rushed up beside him. The ship hovered high, almost invisible in the gray sky, but she knew its design well. "That's a Hunter-class ship," she said. 3 drones, 2 guards, light weapons. It's searching, not attacking. Yet, Taryn watched it carefully. "What do we do?" "We stay quiet," Kaylee said. "If the jammer holds, they'll pass by, but if they land—" Taryn understood. They weren't ready for a full fight. For hours, the ship circled above, slow and steady. The sound of its engines was low, like a whisper in the sky. Kaylee kept one hand on her blade. Taryn kept his eyes on the scanner. Then the light on the screen turned red. "Something's coming in low," he said. "Small, fast. A drone," Kaylee said. They ran outside. Through the trees, a silver eye appeared. A Jaren scout drone. It moved like a bird, scanning the ground with a bright beam. The jammer had failed. Taryn acted first. He ran to the left, drawing the drone's attention. It followed him through the trees, its scanner beams sweeping across branches. Kaylee took the other path, quiet as shadow. She climbed a broken trunk, raised her blade, and jumped. With one clean strike, she sliced through the drone's core. It sparked and crashed to the ground, dead. Taryn returned, breathing hard. That was loud. Kaylee picked up the drone's pieces. "They'll know now. That was a royal scan drone. They don't travel alone." "What do we do?" Taryn asked Kaylee, looked at the broken machine in her hands. Her face was calm. "We prepare," she said. "The next ones won't just be watching. They'll be armed." Back inside the station, they set traps. Taryn rigged wires across paths, turned tools into shock devices, and planted noise bombs at the edge of the forest. Kaylee tuned her blade, powered up the parts of her armor that still worked, and stored energy cells in hidden corners. That night, neither of them slept. The sky stayed dark, even after the stars rose. Something was coming. In the middle of the night, a soft light filled the station. A screen lit up. "It's them," Kaylee said. "My people. My enemies. They're calling." Taryn looked at the screen. A message blinked. Jaren's script moved across the display. Kaylee translated quickly. "Unknown signal located. Royal forces in range. Surrender now or face judgment." Taryn raised an eyebrow. "Not a friendly message." Kaylee stared at the words for a long moment. Then she reached for her gear. "They found us. The jammer failed. We don't have long." Taryn grabbed his bag. "Then we hold them off until your people arrive." Kaylee looked at him. "My people may not come in time. You don't have to stay, Taryn. This isn't your war." He stepped closer, his voice firm. "I didn't pull you from the wreck just to watch you fall. I stay, no matter what comes from the sky." Kaylee didn't speak, but the look in her eyes said more than words. Together they stood in the quiet station, waiting for the storm to return. Not the kind with wind and rain, but the kind made of fire and metal, and when it came, they would be ready. The sun rose behind thick clouds. The sky looked heavy, like it was waiting for something. Inside the old station, Taryn checked the power levels. He had connected extra batteries to the shields. They wouldn't hold forever, but they might hold long enough. Kaylee stood near the main door, her blade resting on her hip. Her armor had been patched again, now mixed with both Jaren and human tech. Wires ran across her wrist, linked to a small control device. She moved with more strength. Now, her injuries had healed, and her eyes held new fire. She had been hunted. She had been broken, but she was still standing. Taryn walked over and handed her a tablet. "The signal's ready," he said. "I rebuilt the old transmitter. We can send a message to anyone nearby. If your loyalists are in range, they'll hear it." Kaylee took the tablet and looked at the screen. Her finger hovered above the send button. "If I press this," she said, It tells my enemies exactly where we are. They'll come fast, but it also tells my allies I'm alive. That I'm still fighting. Taryn nodded. You said you wanted to take back your place. Maybe this is the way. Kaylee looked out the window. The forest seemed quiet, but she knew silence never lasted. Once I send this, she said softly, there's no turning back. Then don't turn back, Taryn replied. Stand. Make them see you. Kaylee didn't wait anymore. She pressed the button. The signal burst into the sky, silent to the ear, but loud to every ship and station in the system. It carried her code, her name, her call for help. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a sound broke the still air. A deep hum in the distance. The enemy was coming. Kaylee turned to Taryn. Set the traps. Load the charges. We hold this place until help comes. Taryn moved fast. He activated the hidden bombs near the tree line. He powered the outer fence. He placed shock mines near the west wall. Every step was careful, practiced. He had prepared. For this, Kaylee stood by the front gate. Her blade buzzed softly in her hand. Her breathing was calm, but her heart beat faster with every second. She had been called weak. She had been cast out. Now she would show them who she really was. Minutes later, the patrol ship arrived. It hovered just above the trees, blocking the sky. Its engines roared as it dropped low. 2 scout pods launched from the sides, hitting the ground with a heavy thud. The doors opened, and armored soldiers stepped out. Royal guards, sharp armor, cold eyes. Each one carried a weapon built to end fights quickly. Kaylee did not move. One of the guards stepped forward. His voice rang through a speaker. Kaylee of House Varen, you are charged with treason. Lay down your weapon. Kaylee stepped out into the open, her voice strong. I am Kaylee of House Varen. I was born to rule, not to serve. You follow a broken throne. I will not kneel to a crown that kills its own. The guard raised his weapon. Then you die with your human, Taryn's voice. Came through the old speaker system. Try it. The traps fired at once. The west field exploded, throwing smoke and heat into the air. One of the guards was hit by a shock mine and thrown back into a tree. Another ran toward the gate but was caught by a tripwire bomb. The blast knocked him flat. Kaylee moved fast. She struck the first guard with the flat of her blade, spinning low and knocking his weapon away. The second came from behind, but she ducked and kicked him hard in the chest. He fell back, gasping for air. Taryn joined the fight, firing a pulse rifle he had fixed the week before. He aimed for armor gaps, slowing the guards down. He wasn't as fast as Kaylee, but he was smart. He kept them off balance. More guards landed. From the ship, Kaylee's blade danced through the smoke. She wasn't just fighting to survive now. She was leading. She stood tall in the middle of the battle, her voice shouting commands, her body moving with strength and control. Taryn fought beside her. They moved like they had trained together for years. When Kaylee dodged, Taryn covered her. When he slipped, she pulled him back to safety. The royal guards began to fall back. They hadn't expected resistance. They hadn't expected her to stand. Kaylee faced the last guard still holding a weapon. His armor was cracked, his hands shaking. You were once loyal to my family, Kaylee said. Now you serve a shadow. The guard looked at her, confused. You should not be alive, he said. You were finished. Kaylee stepped closer. You cannot finish what refuses to fall. The guard dropped his weapon. The patrol ship above turned sharply and rose back into the clouds. The remaining guards vanished into the forest, carrying their wounded with them. Silence returned. Kaylee lowered her blade. Taryn walked over, wiping blood from a small cut on his arm. They ran, he said, surprised. No, Kaylee said. They retreated. But they will come again. Taryn looked up. Then we better hope your signal worked. As if in answer, a new sound filled the air. A different ship approached from the north, smaller, sleek, fast. The symbol on its side was not royal. Kaylee stepped forward. "That's one of ours," she said. "That's the rebel fleet." The ship landed beside the station. The door opened, and a group of Jaren rebels stepped out, weapons ready. At their lead stood an older woman with bright eyes. She looked at Kaylee and dropped to one knee. "My princess," she said. "We received your call. We never gave up hope." Kaylee stood straight. "Then we rise together. It's time to take back our home." Taryn watched as more rebels stepped out of the ship. The station that once felt like a hiding place now felt like the start of something bigger. Kaylee turned to him and held out her hand. "Thank you for helping me stand again," she said. Taryn took her hand. "You never really fell," he said. "You just needed a reason to rise." The rebel ship brought more than just hope. It brought news, weapons, and people who still believed in Kaylee. The station, once quiet and lonely, now felt alive. Kaylee walked through the halls with a purpose in her step. Taryn followed close behind, watching the rebels set up scanners, repair the walls, and place defense systems around the outer field. The woman who had kneeled before Kaylee was named Myron. She had served Kaylee's mother before the royal family fell apart. Her voice was sharp, but her heart was loyal. She had kept a small rebel fleet hidden in the edges of the system, waiting for a sign. When Kaylee's signal came, they came without delay. Myron stood beside Kaylee at the map table. A hologram of the system floated above it. Red marks showed enemy ships. Blue marks showed known rebel points. "We can't stay here long," Myron said. "The royal fleet will track us. You struck down their best guards. They will not forget that." Kaylee nodded. "Then we fight on our terms, not theirs." Taryn leaned forward. "We built traps once. We can do it again. Use this station as bait. Make them walk into our plan." Myron gave him a surprised look. "And who is this human?" Kaylee smiled. "This is Taryn. He found me after the crash, saved me, stood by me when no one else did." Myron looked at Taryn with new respect. "Then I thank you, human. Without you, we may never have found her." Again, Taryn gave a small nod. "Glad I was in the right place." Outside, the rebels worked fast. They brought new weapons, pulse shields, turret drones, signal blockers. They repaired the damage from the last attack and added layers of defense. Kaylee trained with her people again. She sparred in the open yard, her blade flashing in the sunlight. Her strength had returned fully. Each move was clean, sharp, focused. When she stood with the others, she no longer looked like a wounded survivor. She looked like a leader. Taryn watched from the edge, fixing a power unit. One of the rebel fighters came over and handed him a tool. "You fight too?" "The fighter," asked Taryn shrugged. "When I need to." "Then you're one of us now," the fighter said with a grin. That night, the stars seemed too quiet. Myron walked into the station's control room holding a message pad. "They found us," she said. Kaylee stood up straight. "How many?" "2 warships, 1 command cruiser." "They'll arrive by morning." Taryn stepped forward. "That's too much firepower. Even with shields, we can't hold forever." Kaylee looked at the map. Her fingers moved across the control pad, pulling up the terrain. "We make them land far. From the station," she said. "We jam their scanners, make them think we're weak. When they come in close, we trap them in the valley." Myron studied the plan and nodded. It could work. The rebels moved without fear. They packed gear, spread out along the valley, placed hidden mines, and charged the weapons. Taryn set up the final trap, a chain of shock charges under the bridge leading to the station. By morning, the sky turned red, and then they came. 3 massive ships broke through the clouds. Their engines shook the ground. The royal fleet had come in full force. Their message was clear. This time, they wanted to end Kaylee for good. Kaylee stood at the front gate. Her armor shone under the pale light. Taryn stood beside her, holding a repaired pulse rifle. Myron and the rebel fighters lined up behind them. The royal ships didn't land close. Just as Kaylee hoped, they stayed high, scanning from a distance. But their scans showed only a few life forms, weak shields, and scattered defenses. It was a trap, but not an obvious one. Drop pods launched from the cruiser. Dozens of enemy guards landed in the valley, their steps heavy with metal boots. They moved toward the station in rows, expecting little resistance. That was their mistake. Kylie gave the signal. The valley lit up with hidden blasts. The first wave of guards vanished in fire and smoke. The second wave slowed, confused and off balance. That's when the rebels attacked. From the trees and rocks, rebel fighters opened fire. Drones dropped from the sky, shooting beams that tore through enemy lines. Kaylee charged into the field, her blade glowing. Taryn followed, taking cover and firing with sharp aim. The battle roared across the valley. Smoke filled the air. The ground shook with every blast, but the rebels held strong. Kaylee moved like lightning. She took down 2 guards with one spinning strike. When a blast nearly hit Myron, Kaylee blocked it with her blade and pulled her back to safety. Taryn used the traps he had built, drawing enemies into blast zones. When one guard rushed at him with a shock staff, Taryn ducked and hit him with a broken drone core. The guard fell hard. The royal commander finally stepped onto the field. His armor was black with gold lines. His voice echoed through a speaker. Kaylee, you should have stayed dead. Kaylee walked forward slowly. You should have listened. The throne is not yours to protect. It is yours to answer for. The commander raised his weapon. So be it. They clashed in the center of the field. Blade against blade. Sparks flew. The sound rang across the battlefield. Kaylee blocked every strike. She moved with purpose, not rage. The commander struck hard, but Kaylee pushed back harder. With one final move, she disarmed him and kicked his weapon away. This ends here, she said. The commander looked up at her, breathing fast. You were never strong enough. Kaylee held her blade near his chest. I didn't survive because I was strong. I survived because I had people who believed in me. She stepped back. And now, they stand with me. The rebels surrounded the last enemy forces. The royal fleet, seeing their soldiers defeated, turned in retreat. The ships rose back into the sky, their engines fading into the clouds. Silence returned again. Kaylee lowered her blade. The battle was over. Taryn walked over, his face covered in dust. We won, he said. Kaylee looked around at her people. No, she said. We started. The real fight is ahead, but now they know we won't run. She looked at Taryn and gave a small nod. And we won't stand alone anymore. The rebel camp buzzed with quiet energy. The victory in the valley had lifted the spirits of everyone. Soldiers cleaned their weapons. Engineers repaired damaged drones. And Kaylee stood in the center, calm but ready. Taryn helped set up a small camp near the station. His hands were busy with tools, but his eyes kept drifting toward Kaylee. He had never imagined himself in this fight, but now he felt part of something bigger. Mirren approached Kaylee with a serious look. The news has spread fast, she said. The royal fleet is gathering more forces. They will return stronger. Kaylee nodded. Then we must prepare. We need allies. We cannot fight alone. Taryn watched as Kaylee moved to the command table. She traced the star maps with her fingers. The system is larger than I thought, she said. There are colonies and stations controlled by those loyal to the throne. We must reach them before the royal fleet does. Mirren spoke. Some will help us, some will not. We must be careful. Kaylee looked at Taryn. Will you help me? Taryn smiled. I'm here. What do you need? Kaylee's eyes softened. Your strength, your courage. I will need a champion, someone who can fight not just for me, but for the people who believe in change. Taryn swallowed hard. Champion? Yes, Kaylee said. Not a ruler, Not a soldier, a symbol. Someone who stands between the past and the future. Days passed. The rebel fleet moved through the system. They made contact with outposts willing to join the fight. Kaylee led the negotiations. Taryn traveled with her, learning more about her, people, and their struggles. One evening near the station's fire, Kaylee called everyone together. The rebels gathered in a circle. Taryn stood beside her, feeling the weight of the moment. Kaylee raised her voice. Our fight is not just for power. It is for freedom, for the chance to live without fear. The royal fleet wants to silence us, but we will not be silent. She turned to Taryn. Taryn, you risked your life for me. You fought when you had... No reason to. You showed us what it means to be brave. Taryn felt his cheeks burn. He looked at the ground. Kaylee continued. Today, I name you my champion. You are the first human to hold this honor among the Djarin rebels. Stand with me, and we will change the future. The crowd cheered. Taryn looked up, surprised but proud. He stepped forward and bowed his head. The days that followed were full of training and preparation. Taryn learned how to use Djarin weapons and tactics. Kaylee shared stories of her past and hopes for the future. Their bond grew stronger. They trusted each other. They fought together. One night, as they prepared for the next battle, Kaylee asked quietly, Why do you fight, Taryn? He looked at the stars. Because you showed me there is something worth fighting for. Kaylee smiled. Then we are not alone. The night was calm. The stars shone brightly above the rebel camp. Fires flickered in the darkness, casting shadows on tired faces. Soldiers sat quietly, resting before the battle to come. The air smelled of smoke and metal, but also hope. Kaylee stood near the edge of the camp, looking up at the sky. Her armor was clean and polished, but her eyes held the weight of many battles. The war was far from over. The royal fleet was gathering strength, ready to crush the rebellion. Taryn joined her quietly. He stood beside her, feeling the cool breeze. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Kaylee broke the silence. Do you ever wonder why you stayed with me? She asked softly. Taryn smiled. I think about that a lot. You were an alien princess, a rebel in danger. I was just a human living alone. Nothing connected us at first. Kaylee looked at him, curious. But I saw something in you, he continued. A strength beyond weapons or armor. You never gave up, even when everything was against you. Kaylee's eyes softened. And you never walked away. No, Taryn said, because you would have done the same for me. They stood together, looking at the stars. The war would be hard. Many would fall, but they would not fight alone. A messenger approached, carrying news from the front lines. The royal fleet had begun their attack on a nearby colony. The rebels would need to move fast. Kaylee turned to Taryn. This is why we fight, she said. For the people who cannot defend themselves, for the future we believe in. Taryn nodded. Then let's make sure they have one. As dawn broke, the rebels prepared to move. Kaylee and Taryn led the way, side by side. Their bond was no longer just survival or duty. It was trust, friendship, and hope. The galaxy was vast and uncertain, but together, they were ready to face whatever came next.